Ask people what happens to a man after years of living alone, and most will guess the same thing. He gets worse with women, pickier, colder, out of practice. But for a lot of men, something close to the opposite happens, and it starts in the strangest place: silence. We're not talking about men who've cut everyone off, just ordinary guys. A breakup that never resolved into anything else. A move for a job that landed him somewhere with no one waiting at home. College ending with nobody else's name on the lease. Circumstances that put a man alone for a few years, longer than he planned and never quite scheduled. Picture one of them, 31 years old, a Tuesday night, cooking a single portion of pasta in a pot built for 4 because that's the pot he already owned. The apartment is quiet enough that he can hear the refrigerator hum and the upstairs neighbor's footsteps. The first few months of this, he hated it. He'd put on a podcast just to hear a voice, any voice, the second he walked through the door, sometimes before he'd even taken his shoes off. That reflex, reaching for noise the moment a room goes quiet, was never really about entertainment. It was a man avoiding a feeling he'd never had to sit with before. The philosopher Alan Watts used to draw a hard line between loneliness and solitude and insisted they were almost opposite experiences that get confused for each other. Loneliness is a scramble to fill a room with anything other than yourself. Solitude is what's left once you stop scrambling and just sit there. Most men never find out which one they're actually capable of because they rarely get the years alone it takes to test it. Family therapists have a term for what starts happening to a man who does get those years: differentiation of self. Picture it as a scale. On one end, your mood bends around whoever's in the room. Someone's upset, you're upset. Someone approves of you, you feel like a person again. On the other end, you can stand close to somebody without losing your own shape. Most people build that skill slowly, through friction with other people, a partner who won't let them get away with people-pleasing, a friend who calls it out. Men who live alone build it a different way. There's no one else's mood to manage at 9 at night, so the regulating has to come from somewhere inside, because there's nobody else around to do it for him. And here's what's fascinating. This was never really a story about an apartment. It goes back decades before the lease got signed. Go back to childhood and you'll find where a lot of this got written in the first place. Researchers who study attachment, building on work that started with John Bowlby in the 1950s, found that the way a caregiver responds to a child's distress becomes a kind of template for every relationship after it. Respond consistently, and the child learns the world is safe enough to explore alone. Respond unpredictably, and the child learns to stay alert, watching for any sign the person they depend on might pull away. That second pattern has a name: anxious attachment. It doesn't stay in childhood. It shows up at 26 on a first date, reading a slow text reply as a verdict on your worth as a person. The heart rate climbs a little, the thumb hovers over the phone, drafting and deleting the same follow-up text 4 different ways. Boys, more than girls in most households, get taught early not to ask for comfort directly. Don't cry, don't ask, wait for someone to offer it. Fall down, and the reflex from the adults around him is often some version of shake it off rather than come here. That message lands early, and it lands deep. A lot of men reach adulthood having never practiced sitting with their own discomfort because they move straight from a parent's house into a girlfriend's, then a wife's, with no real gap in between. It didn't used to work this way either. For most of human history, a man who lost a partner or never found one still had people around him constantly. Parents down the hall, siblings 2 streets over, a whole town that knew his business whether he liked it or not. Extended solitude, the kind stretching past a few weeks, is a fairly new experience for the species. The apartment door that closes on a 31-year-old tonight would have been almost unheard of for his own great-grandfather. Something has shifted in the last 50 years, though. Far more men are living alone now than in the 1970s. More than double by most counts. Careers, dating apps, marriage happening later, all of it adds up to more men hitting their 30s with no next room to lean on. For the first time, the old habit of scanning someone else's mood for danger has nowhere to point. There's nobody there. Just him. But here's what nobody tells you about what comes after that first uncomfortable year. The shift starts showing up in how he treats people, women included. He notices he's less reactive. A date takes 2 hours to text back, and he doesn't spiral, he just keeps living his evening. He stops scanning a woman's face for approval the second he says something because some part of him already proved, alone, at 9 at night with nobody watching, that he's fine either way. The same shift shows up at work, too. He notices he doesn't need his manager's approval the way he used to, doesn't rehearse a sentence 4 times before saying it in a meeting. He can disagree with someone and let the disagreement just sit there, instead of chasing it down for reassurance that they're still okay with him. Self-image stops being something other people vote on every day. There's a paradox sitting in the middle of this, and it's the same one that shows up in nearly every man who's spent real years alone. The exact skill that saves him from neediness is the skill that can cut him off from anyone getting close. Researchers who study avoidant attachment keep finding the same uncomfortable thing. Underneath the outward calm, people who test high on avoidance often carry just as much internal distress about closeness as anxious people do. They've simply gotten very good at not showing it, sometimes not even to themselves. Ask one of these men if he's happy alone, and he'll usually say yes, and mean it. But watch what happens when a friend cancels plans last minute, or when a group chat goes quiet for a few days. Something in him notices, even if his voice doesn't. Independence and isolation can look identical from the outside for years before anyone, including the man himself, can tell them apart. Go back to that kitchen a couple of years later. Same man, further along. He's on a date this time, sitting across from a woman mid-story about her weekend, and here's the strange part. He isn't performing. He isn't scanning her tone for whether she's still into him. He isn't drafting his next line while she talks. He's just there, listening, curious about a person who exists outside of whatever she can offer him. Living alone didn't do that to him automatically. Plenty of men spend years alone and come out the other side more guarded, not less. The difference is what he did with the discomfort in that first year alone. Whether he let the quiet teach him to sit with himself or just waited it out until someone new arrived to manage his mood for him again. Psychologists have a name for the place a man can land after all this, if he does the work instead of just letting the years pass. Earned secure attachment. It means the attachment style he started with, anxious or avoidant, whatever childhood wrote into him, isn't the ending. People move towards security through the same kind of friction that builds differentiation in the first place, except this time the friction comes from inside. From choosing, night after night, to sit with the discomfort instead of running from it or shutting it out. Watts spent a lot of his life making the same point in different forms. The tighter you try to hold on to something, security, love, a person, the faster it slips away, and the only way to actually keep anything is to stop holding on so hard. Plenty of men who live alone long enough stumble into that lesson without ever reading a word of his. The apartment teaches it directly at 9 at night with nobody else in the room to blame or lean on. And somewhere in there, without quite meaning to, they stop looking at women as the cure for the quiet and start being able to actually see the person sitting across the table. The quiet stops meaning something is missing. It starts meaning there's finally room to notice someone else. If this hit home for you, please like and subscribe. And if you want to support these deep dives, hit that join button to become a channel member.